to the max.
So we just had supper, and we are going to take y'all on a tour of all of our garden.
Just a nice evening garden walk. We have not done that really on our YouTube channel, but tonight we are.
And you're going to see what we have growing here at the max.
Let's go.
Okay, here is our older, I guess I should say, blueberry bushes. As you can see, they are absolutely loaded. So our oldest and most mature, they are loaded, and we are super excited about having lots of blueberries this year. Okay, this is our crabapple tree, and it is loaded right now. Now, these actually won't be ready until way later in the season, but these trees are probably 5 or 6 years old, and they have done amazing. This whole bed back here, we're in the process of turning it all into edible landscape. When we first started the bed, we didn't know exactly what we wanted to do, so we put some jasmine on the columns to kind of do up as runners for some decoration. Had I been able to take that back, I probably would have done something more edible. So everything else you see here, these are our younger blueberry bushes, and we have several here. We've also just recently added in some sage, oregano, and parsley, and they have really kicked off and done amazing here. So this is kind of like all right out the back door, edible landscape right here. Here's our asparagus. Now, these are several years old. They are in their second full year. We have harvested asparagus off of these already. These are started from seed, and they are delicious. So next year, yeah. Now, I won't be able to harvest off of it anymore this season, but next year I will be able to harvest off of it a lot. Now, in this bed, I also added some sunflower seeds. This was mostly just for decorations, but asparagus, you cannot go wrong for that with those, and these will last for many, 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 many years to come.
One thing I think we learn the most about perennials, just like we're trying to learn fruit, is if we learn to do like they say, don't eat any the first year, just pick just a little bit the second year. Third year should be a big harvest. I think we're trying to do that with our asparagus and also our strawberries. Yeah, so we're sacrificing our strawberries, which we'll show you guys our strawberry patch. So we're sacrificing strawberries this year for the plant to put all its energy into the root system. The deeper the roots go, the more the roots grow, the bigger the plant gets, the more mature the plant gets. So it's putting more energy into growing instead of producing runners and fruit. And hopefully next year we will be able to reap the benefits of having nice strawberries from that. All right, so behind us, Misty has talked about some of the other onions we have, but these are really our oldest onions. They've been really planted since fall. You'll see there's some garlic in the back, and then of course you see the onions up front. You actually see some succession planting onions too. Yeah. So they've kind of gone throughout. So let's talk a little bit about this bed right here. Yeah, so those are the older ones. This is the step down, and then on the other side and over in some of the other beds we have, you called it something different. I call it, I guess, progressional. Progressional, successional, it's all the same. Anyway, so those are our, what would be considered, I guess, our third year, and then this would be our what, first full year? Probably. Yeah, I think those would be our first full year, and then the other ones are babies. And then we've added some herbs to this bed that will last us at least several years, at least 2 years on the sage and the parsley. So super excited about that. I started these from seed as well, and they are booming. So, and you'll notice we have a lot of perennials, and especially with our herbs. Misty went crazy in planting this last year, and because of that, we literally have herbs almost in every bed that we know. Other than our main garden, all our raised beds have some form of perennials in there. And you see how easy, I mean, you can just look and see how easy these are to grow. I mean, they've just done really, really well. The key really to herbs is little water, a lot of sunlight, and well draining soil. All right, so we are getting to the very end of the early spring season for South Mississippi. So you see our potatoes are looking great, but they're starting to die out, which is part of their lifespan. So we'll be digging those up probably over the next 2 weeks. So we'll finish up with
Potatoes
them.
are our favorite.
Yes, we love it. We actually just had a big potato meal as a family. So potatoes are ending up. We have those in 3 raised beds this year. Only raised beds, only high raised beds that have very loose soil and compost. Trying something a little bit different, so we're hoping that we can get a really big harvest this year on it. As you see kind of behind Misty, we have the lettuce and kind of the...
well, and here's a small section
that's right.
of
herbs.
How you were talking about. I went into each bed and kind of tried to add herbs everywhere. So oregano, chives, and rosemary is what we have here. I put a section of dill, but I don't think that they are very happy alongside the potatoes. So but I have another section of dill over here.
So you see right here, we have the 2 hugelkultur beds in front. One we've already changed over to succession planting or progression planting with some peppers. And Misty's got some broccoli going to seed over there. But here, we've got some spinach going to seed. Tell us a little bit about all this.
So this was basically our fall bed, and you see on our introduction video that everything is really small, but everything is grown up now. It's big and it's beautiful, but it's pretty well played out. So we have designated certain plants to go to seed, and not all of it has played out. If you look how beautiful this is. So we still eat off this Butter Crunch lettuce here.
This is Hall's Tools, absolutely
here.
Best lettuce, and that's the oak leaf lettuce kind of back in this section.
And it is absolutely delicious. But you can see that I have this spinach going to seed, so I'll be able to get those. I've added in some peppers and some basil. Now I started all of this from seed, so they look like babies, but it's because they're so new. I just started those from seed. So all of this basically that you see going to seed, we have dedicated directly.
Look at that. That's bigger than our head.
That's directly dedicated to go to seed. FYI, for those interested, these go amazing in egg omelets. Any types of Alfredo or anything like that you do, just roll them up and cut them up, and it is really good.
And you see, we still have a bunch of oak leaf lettuce left. We have a bunch of purple Butter Crunch from Hall's Tools. This was our heirloom that's now starting to bolt.
Yeah.
This is our heirloom lettuce that we have grown over the last few years.
And all of
Okay, so you can see our plum is booming. This is the second year. Yes, the second year that it's really put off. I think this is our, what, 4th or 5th year of having it here in our homestead.
I think that this is our 5th year.
5th year.
We
So
planted this right when we built our home.
and when I say it is booming, it is booming. It is, and they are so good. Melt in your mouth. There's no better fruit than right from the homestead. So we have, of course, the plum. You see a pear. Now we've got a few pear off this. It's a gorgeous tree.
No blooms this year.
Yeah, no blooms this year, so that's okay because again, pears are not our favorite, but they do cross-pollinate with apples, and our apples are jamming. So we'll show you those when we get to the orchard. So let's make our way around.
Our broccoli, we planted these later in the season. You saw those up there. They already have major seed pods on them. Those will fully go to seed. We planted these in hopes that we would be able to get a good harvest of broccoli off. We have gotten some, not what we have hoped, would have hoped, because they started flowering so fast.
It just gets so hot.
It does. It gets so hot here. But also, what I have been doing with all of these, like when we don't, the cat almost tripped me. When we don't eat these, I break these off and give them to the chickens as their greens, and they absolutely love them. So really, it's a win-win. We've gotten what we want off of them, what it gives us, and the rest I let it grow as a supplement feed for our chickens. So. Okay, in the greenhouse, so y'all know, a lot of y'all know this is one of my favorite places. This is where we do the majority of our seed starts, our plant starts. So things like elderberry cuttings thrive here. See, like
sweet
basils.
Potatoes.
Yes, well, I'm going to give them an update. For those who watched 3 Minute Thursday, who saw our sweet potatoes, so they have grown tremendously, and the roots are beautiful.
This is two of my favorite. We're in South Mississippi, but we're not on beach or anything like that. But that is a tangerine or orange tree.
Yes, right here.
And then, of course, a lemon tree.
And then I have little tiny oranges on this tree. I don't know if it would be able to pick it up. This is an orange back here.
Yeah, lemon. That's a lemon.
Yeah, lemon. I'm sorry. And then things like this big elderberry cutting that has grown tremendously.
We've got moringa, all kinds of stuff growing in here.
Pigeon peas, moringa, basils. Most of this come from cuttings or seeds. All right, these are brand new beds, brand new soil, brand new tomato plants. These were just transferred. They're in a little bit of shock, but they're growing, new growth on them. So we're gonna leave them alone and let them see what they'll do.
This is tomatoes, by the way, if she didn't say it. That's just 2 new tomato beds.
Tomatoes, and intermingled in with them are basil and marigolds for companion planting. This bed, we did not get any in there because this was a later bed. Over here we have zinnias for the bees. I have some peppers and coneflowers planted. Beautiful lettuce. We still eat off this lettuce when it is done. Again, we'll allow it to go to seed. Carrots are in the back. These are baby onions in the front. I have some herbs that I just put along the side. Some basil, some parsley, some peppers, some sage. These are our second year onions. These are our second year onions here. These are some of the baby onions back here. So that wraps up these beds.
So if you remember, this is where we had the pigs, and these were some of the new beds that we were going to make for this year. At first we talked about it, and we have videos on it. We talked about making this maybe a winter bed. So my wife had a little bit different thoughts. So we kind of went with the strawberry bed. So Misty, if you want to talk about it a little bit.
Yes, so, and you'll see there's not many blooms, not many strawberries, not many runners, because what I do on almost a daily basis is come in here, and if I find one, I tear it off and just sacrifice. I've been sacrificing the fruit, and you can see that they have grown tremendously since we put them in the ground. So very pleased with that. We didn't lose any. Some are not growing as fast as others, but we have not lost any. So we've been very satisfied and hoping that by sacrificing this year, we will have an amazing harvest next year.
This will be where we plan to have the winter, kind of the early winter beds. And that way it'll be close to the house and close to the orchard, and just kind of make it where it's a little bit more accessible. It's just an extra bed that we're going to do. It's a very small bed. I would say it's probably a, 30 by 20. So it's not a big bed, 600 square foot. We're just going to have it for just a little extra bed, maybe to put some lettuces in for early fall.
Yep. And right behind that, directly behind that, is our orchard.
Whoop, whoop.
That we have. Most of these are probably 2 years old.
2 to 3. Well, we've got some new ones this year too now.
Yeah,
so.
I think that most of these are 2 years old. That was last year, so that's a muscadine up there on the wooden trellis. We did not get anything from it last year, but it has grown a lot from last year. So I know over the next few years it will definitely pick up. We have different things like peach here. This is a whole row of peach. These are all new plants. So we would love to see these be as big as our plum in 5 years. Super excited about that.
And we've got a good bit of peaches and apples going and booming.
Like I mentioned before, this is muscadine growing here, and blueberry. We have sections of blueberries all up through here. Our apples are in the far back, and I have to show you the apples. So our apple tree, you can tell it's loaded. We do need to do some maintenance to this. But how exciting. So this is a new tree, and it's already given us lots of apples. So we look forward to the next few years this growing and putting off more. There's another apple tree over there and one in front of that. Now the cool thing about our fruit orchard is we have rotated our chickens through here. We let them come through and scratch around and fertilize, eat bugs. Now it does boost the grass up through here, but it also boosts the root systems that our fruit are putting off to feed them as well. And another cool thing is, if you look right over there, is
keep talking.
Is our bees. Now our bees are super duper pollinators. You guys know that. There are so many foods that we eat that require pollination, and our bees do a fantastic job of doing that. They have easy access to lots of things around on the farm.
If you're wondering about our apples, these are Anna apples. These tend to be booming more than anything. We do have some gala apples over here. As you can see there's just a few right there, about 6 or 7. Misty's gonna go point them out. So there's about 6 or 7 on that tree as well. Behind this we have a peach, but these are collie apples back here. There's, I think, maybe 2 or 3 blooms on the collie apple. And this is another, this is a Fuji here. So they're all doing really well. One thing, the cross-pollination I think helps more than anything this year. What Misty didn't talk about, beyond these, we do have some fig trees too. So you'll see these back down in here too. So
the fig trees.
now, one thing about our peaches, if you look at our peaches, please don't make fun of them. We went to a class and we realized that you're supposed to cut a peach to make it look as ugly as possible. No, you're supposed to make it look like an upside down umbrella.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's right.
So they're ugly.
There are certain fruits that require leaders and certain fruits that do not. And the peaches do not need a leader.
Well, you can say that about our plum too. Our plum's pretty ugly as well. So, but it's pretty right now with all those plums. But it's kind of ugly when you see it in the fall. It's like an upside down umbrella.
So what is super cool is that we've had these in the ground, most of them for at least a year. Some of them are new, like we talked about. But the years to come, what it's going to give us in the years to come. I couldn't get that out right.
Okay.
The big garden.
The big garden. So as you see, we have a lot going on everywhere.
Something has dug a hole.
No, that's where our crazy bull got out and went nuts.
I forgot you telling me that.
Crazy, crazy day. We will talk about that another day. So the main garden, as you see, is more of a back to Eden lasagna style garden. It's done really good for us having a no-till garden the last 2 to 3 seasons.
So you guys watched us put the video together of putting the garden together.
If you hadn't, you better go watch it.
And look, in all seriousness, glance through, this is the only grass spot that I see on these rows is right here.
Boom.
I'll take that any day.
We really have to look for grass. It really, the last 2 years, and I'll base that not just on the no-till, I'll base it on the silage tarps, heavy prepping. It's just been really good. So anyways, the first 3 rows, while Misty works on that grass because it's going to bother her. First 3 rows are red zipper peas.
Yeah, and we have not weeded since Friday.
That's right. Those are red zipper peas. They are booming. They look great.
1, 2, 3.
Doing wonderful. The next 3 rows are our pink eye purple hull. We are huge pink eye purple hull fans. I personally love them. Misty does too. Most of our kids do. 2 of our girls are not fond of them. We make them eat them though. So
peas are plus max.
Yeah, plus for us, again, being organic, peas add nitrogen back to the soil. So they're good because ultimately we let them chop and drop after the end of the season. They're biannual for us, so we will grow them again starting in July as another progressionary plant. So Misty will be on these 2 rows. You're looking at the lima bean rows. They are right there. That is Henderson Bush. They're starting to really put out little flowers and little seed pods. So we're thinking maybe in the next 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to really see a major difference in that. Now, we're going to talk about the con. We've talked about this in our live. Now, these 3 rows, Misty, you hit on these right quick.
So these are soybeans, and we had several different, I would say they were the same variety, just different brands. And
3 different seed companies.
Right. So we had good luck with one and not so good luck with the other one. So we were really bummed about that because the seeds absolutely did not germinate. So the holes and gaps that you see in these rows are basically where we're having to replant. We're having to start over. So we have taken the 3rd seed company and planted those in the holes where the 1 seed company did good, 1 did not germinate at all. So now we're on the 3rd one. Edamames are really important to us. We eat those kind of like we eat potatoes. So we're hoping to get...
But I will say this, like Misty was talking about, we have replanted. But if we see that this is not going to work, we're not wasting these beds, and they'll go in with actually pink eye or either pink eye or something like that. So.
Now the next row is squash and zucchini.
We call it our squash keenies.
Because we mixed them up. I have labels in the greenhouse. You can see some that are bigger than the other. Those are seeds that actually did not get dug up because something kept coming and digging up certain seeds and eating them. And that was some of the row. that was getting 8. So some of them were really big, some of them were really small. So I had to literally start those seeds in the greenhouse, and we come out here and replanted those.
But man,
they're
they
all
look
coming
good.
up. Yes,
They look great,
they're
actually.
really doing good. So here's like the examples of the ones that stayed. Here's some of the ones that we started in the greenhouse, and we have gotten all of those planted, and they are really doing good. So we're happy about that. But I said all that to say this: the little ones, I had them all labeled, and my little childrens went in and took the labels out in the squash and zucchini. And at that stage, I'm like, I can't tell the difference in the plant. Some of you master gardeners may can out there, but they look identical to me. So we just planted them, and who knows what's going to come up where, but it's the squash and zucchini.
All right, next row. Again, this is coming up slowly, but it's looking good. We've got the okra. It is now, we actually planted it and also did the same thing Misty said in the greenhouse. We did some seeds. We didn't do any plant starts, only seed starts. Some directly in the garden and some directly in the greenhouse, and just transplanted them over here. But man, they are going to be good. And last year we did not have a good harvest, so I'm hoping this year we boom with some okra.
It was the variety that we had that we did not like. It was the harder style okra.
It was a dwarf.
And we wanted the more soft, and they actually did amazing, but we don't want that hard. We put it up to cook down in soups, jambalaya, stuff like that. But just to eat, we were not a fan. So we didn't get a harvest because it wasn't what we wanted.
Last few rows, we got some Mississippi pink eye. This is Mississippi top pick, to be honest with you. They're doing good. One row is a little bit lower than the other, but man, you can see the peas are booming. We double plant on a 30-inch row. I know people say, oh, that's too tight. Well, because we do non-GMO and organic and no till, we know we're going to lose some anyway. So we just believe that, hey, just keep on planting. So we did. We planted a lot. So now let's talk about what we got going on the trellises, Mom.
Okay, these are all tomatoes. These are all seed started. Every one of these, basils and marigolds included, from the greenhouse. Now this first row that you see got nipped by the frost, so it kind of stunned them. It dropped down into the 30s. It wasn't under 32, but the tomatoes obviously did not like it. But if you look, you can see some beautiful green growth. It didn't kill them. It did just stun their growth a little bit. And we are getting very close to needing to tie some of these little bad boys up. They're getting pretty close to getting up there.
Now, we did different than most people. We did not start our trellises at the bottom, because last year we were running out of space.
On the top.
That's right. So what we did this year is we come about 2.5 foot
look,
off
we
the
have
ground.
some flowers.
Whoop, whoop. We come about 2.5 foot off the ground, so that way we could go up higher. So basically we're at about a 7.5 to 8 foot trellis.
Yeah, see, this one's getting pretty close to being tied up. It looks beautiful and healthy. I will be coming in probably within the next 2 weeks and pruning some of these, just because it's so hot and humid in the south. I know some people say, oh, prune it to almost nothing, and some people say, I don't prune them at all. We're right in the middle, okay, because it is so hot and humid in the south. I don't want a ton of foliage laying on top of each other. I don't want it all on the ground, because then you are setting up for disease. But I also don't want to sacrifice all of my limbs that are producing my tomatoes either. So we're a good in the middle there.
So as Misty walks, and we're kind of finishing up on the main part of the garden,
Ooh, here's another one.
we actually have got over 180 right here on these 25-foot beds, double planted. Got basil and marigolds right in the middle of it, and they'll grow up with it. But basically, you see those 3 rows. Again, we fertilize organically, so you see some of the redness in some of these rows are just simply some of the cottonseed meal that we've got going on. So let's talk about the last row before we get to the winter planting and late summer planting and the corn and sweet potatoes.
Yep, cucumbers. So I'm already starting to get some runners off here, and I will be coming to pull those out soon. Now, I saw a fly, yeah. Bam, 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 baby cucumber. I saw some flowers on here earlier, so there's the baby cucumber there. Now, last year we used a brand.
It just wasn't native to our region.
For us. It did not do well. Cucumbers is something that me and Colby absolutely love. The kids pretty well like them too, especially the baby. And we got, I won't say 0. I think it was like less than 5 though. So we are so thrilled that these have taken off this year.
Jamming.
I mean, amazing.
Beautiful, healthy
Already several
cucumbers.
baby Yep, so here's another one.
Now
So I am
what's
so
cool is
excited.
these are actually 3 different brands of cucumbers, or 3 different seed companies, just seeing which one does the best. What is amazing is all of them are doing about the same. So we've got some straight 8s, we've got some
And then you can see in this section, I want to talk about the weed barrier when you get done.
oh yeah, so basically we've got 3 different kinds. We have the straight 8, which is probably the most common. We have a pickling, we have a burpless, we also have a small, what they call the dragon cucumber, which is just a tiny little cucumber that me and Misty have kind of fell in love with lately. So as she finishes up, and then what she's going to talk about is comparative to this. Now remember,
So
when this first started, this time of our life, I'm not going to really say it, but y'all know what we've been going through lately. We kind of had the garden stopping a little about right here. Our 3rd trellis was really our first trellis on the original garden plans. Well, when everything kind of went to crap and we started going to where we were home more in the quarantine, we said, why not expand it? So let's talk about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so again, referring back to the video where y'all saw us put the garden together, there's very, very little grass down there because we were able to put cardboard down. We were able to mulch extremely thick layers because we prepped all of that. And like Colby said, then when we decided, or he and I decided, okay, we need to expand this thing. So you're gonna see some spots like here that don't have the weed barriers down. We have grass. We'll deal with all of that next year. You can see this, which is what was added after the fact. And there is like grass growing like it would be in anybody's regular garden growing down there that we're not getting down there. So from our experience, what we've done, setting this garden up right, preparing in advance, is going to decrease your workload in the long run.
All right, you see this is going to be our late summer peas, and also some early winter, some early fall, excuse me. And then also I think I'm going to plant some pumpkins right there. So we've kind of got that covered there.
Sunflowers that
Yeah,
come up and
some random sunflowers right there. So. All right, let's walk to the very, very end. Look at our jamming corn.
Yep, corn looks good. It's growing amazing. I expect to probably be seeing some silks from the sweet corn very soon because they don't grow this tall. That's just not what they do.
So we're very pleased with this. We have 10 rows at 10 inches apart. And again, everything looked like it germinated very, very well. There's one little spot right there. They're actually germinated. They're just smaller seed. We have been hitting this pretty heavy with some form of organic nitrogen. And also hit it with a little calcium this last week, but really more than that, just the nitrogen. So last but not least, we have one more section right here that we have got covered, but we just planted this that you see here. So what is this? Tell me a little bit about it.
These are the sweet potatoes, and of course you saw the ones in the greenhouse, but we found 100 for 8, and we planted 75 of those. So that's what you see here. Sweet potatoes typically do very well in Mississippi because it's so hot and humid. We've never actually put them on our homestead. We've never actually planted them. So we're very anxious to see how they're going to do.
So the reason I think we're really trying to jump to sweet potatoes this year is because, like we said, our corn and potato is a big staple, just like probably for most Americans.
Or edamame.
Yeah, so for us though, we've really done real well with peas and butter beans and even cucumbers and tomatoes over the last few years. Our goal is to be that staple, that one thing that goes on the plate all the time, which tends to be potatoes and corn. So like Misty was saying, we really want our corn to thrive because our potatoes are booming, but you know, our potatoes don't boom all year. Sweet potatoes are more of a staple in the South, so if we can keep these growing for maybe 3 to 5 months, because we can harvest a little bit at a time, this may be even a better staple for us. Even though our kids may not like it as much, it's good, and it might be another good staple to put right back on the table. So
Yeah.
we're really excited about it.
Well, we hope you guys hung with us through the whole video.
We have
do have
crazy
a lot
amounts of
to
growing.
show. We have a lot going on here.
Yeah.
And you know, we take pride in our work, and it's very rewarding when you are able to do so much and you're able to bring that to the table, like you said. It's rewarding.
Hard work, but worth it when you start eating it all.
Happy homesteading, y'all.
Happy homesteading, y'all.